Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning into Local Talk Radio. I am your host, Adrian Alvaro, here with Olivia Starkweather, Sofia Martinez, and Apolonio Flores. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves real quick?
Oh, hello. I'm Apolonio Flores. I am an environmental science undergrad, and I worked in the agroecology department. And I'm also a member of the EAC.
Hello, my name's Olivia Starkweather. I'm an undergrad of sustainable agriculture, and I also am in the agroecology program.
Hi, hello. My name is Sofia Martinez. My major is environmental science, and I'm the vice president of the EAC Environmental Awareness Club.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being here today. We're going to get started with a little bit of music in a little bit here, but when we get back, we're going to be talking about some sustainable farming practices and some local plants here in the RGV. First up here, we have One of These Nights from the Eagles, y'all. Enjoy. All right, guys, we're back with our guests. So, first topic we're talking about today is why are native plants even important in an area that can grow such a variety of other plants?
Okay, so I work in the agroecology department, and before working there, I thought of agriculture more in a monoculture type of way, meaning one crop and done. So I didn't really see the value in native plants, and for some time I did think that it did look kind of weedy or, unkept. But I soon realized that these plants hold such a benefit, at least in agriculture, for, helping with soil retention, water retention, of course, providing all these pollinators, be it native insects or birds, and stuff like that. I think, at least for agriculture, the benefits are really, plenty, and you can't really go about it any other way. And if you want to do sustainable agriculture, and especially as a region that has historically been very prone to droughts and little rainfall, it's very important to have these ground covers and these plants established just to keep your stuff alive. But that's just one example.
So, like the monoculture helps like the actual ground that we're growing on. Is that right? Like that's why we should not grow monoculture. We should grow.
Yeah, if you're just growing one crop, or if you're not doing rotational crops or having something there, you're just disrupting the soil and taking from it without amending it. I mean, there's always synthetic fertilizers, but that's never a good idea. I think we can all agree on that. So yeah, native plants are just a way to that they're low maintenance, and it's such a good idea if you don't have the time to establish, I don't know, wind blockage, or if you need to save water, especially here in the valley that we don't get that much water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So our native crops to the area are have evolved to survive better in this area, and I think everybody loves the idea of less maintenance on
Yeah.
our plants, right? Okay, but what about all right, so let's say somebody is interested in native plants, but they don't know they don't know what they can even do with them, right? Because a lot of people don't know a lot about our native plants. How can like an average everyday person that wants to grow a garden, an RGV specific garden, how can they benefit from an RGV specific garden?
So, in all honesty, you just have to go to your closest native nursery. If you don't know anything about planting, anything about plants, you're like, what is this? Go to your native nursery and ask for native plants during the season. So never, in our region, I believe you shouldn't plant them at all in the summer time. Plant them in the late falls and early springs. That would be the best time if you want your native plants to actually survive. Because if you plant something in the summer when it's 115 degrees, nothing will survive. Like nothing. Like nothing. So I suggest going to your nearest, again, nursery, and go like buy a few plants and go home and don't even plan what you're gonna plant. Start with native flowers. I believe it's the easiest, right? It's
Yeah.
Don't go with something that's like a thorn scrub plant, which is just a brush that has mostly berries sometimes, like your chile piquin, or has like thorns. Just go easy, like you can do that in a few years. You can put all your flowers. What are native flowers that you know? Like the Indian blanket? Is that
Yeah, flowers like Indian blanket and cowpen daisy, those are, and at least for me, they were one of the first things I started with. I know when I first started getting interested about 2 years ago, I didn't really know where to start. And I would look online, and all these resources were aimed toward northern states. So it's really hard, because our climate is so starkly different compared to the rest of the U.S. that it's just hard to translate these things, be it agriculture or native plants or any type of gardening in general. But I mean, the resources are out there. You just kind of have to know where to look. So places like Quinta Mazatlan or the Edinburgh Scenic Wetlands. I know Resaca La Palma. If you're in the Bronzo area, they're all out there, and I suggest just going to their events. I know Quinta holds a Planta Nativa Fest every once a year, and that's such a good way to get started. These resources are out there. They really want people. They really encourage us to grow native plants and to have more importance in our native ecology. That if you look for it, you will easily find it.
Yeah, and just to hop in on both questions, when it comes to planting, well, if you're running a farm, you're probably running a business and trying to make money, and growing food is an awesome way to explore like making money and supporting yourself, and because we all need to eat 3 times a day, so that's like super awesome. There are ways to plant multiple crops for the benefit of your business and for the benefit of local ecology. It can also provide an opportunity for the crops that you grow to benefit as well. Here in the lower deep South Texas, it's pretty dry, so if you're focusing in on one crop and that's what your business is based off of, you might want to try doing some interplanting or some cover cropping. Cover crops are things you can plant in between seasons if you are sort of just doing one crop every year, and these can replenish the soil as they grow and break down. They can also establish relationships with bacteria in the soil and fix nitrogen from the atmosphere. So there are really cool ways that we can utilize native plants or drought-tolerant plants within agriculture, specifically for dry farming. And I think that is like such a cool thing to explore in deep South Texas. I think the more research that's done on that kind of work, just restorative, sustainable agriculture, can really help us figure out, okay, as climate change and different things are going on in the world around us, how are we adapting and what's the research behind it? And then in terms of growing native plants in our yards, I think that it just helps in general with like our community, because if we're growing stuff that is from this region, then we are supporting local ecology, pollinators. It's really awesome when you fall in love with flowers that are like local to your region, because sometimes their beauty goes unnoticed. So whenever you take the time to learn about local plants, like those things really pay off. Some examples, I guess, besides the ones mentioned, would be like mist flower is great if you love butterflies, and there are tons of other flowers. But yeah.
I'm glad you brought up pollinators and stuff, because we are a huge hotspot for butterflies and for birds alike. I don't know if birds actually pollinate, but I know butterflies actually pollinate. So someone growing native plants is a great way to attract natural beauty to their yard, butterflies to their yard, and like you said, it's also a way to fix the soil around them. And you brought up climate change earlier. Like, how can planting native help us combat the downsides of climate change that we're seeing here in the valley? Because it's getting hot down here, you guys. It's getting really hot. Do they help us like cool down at all or anything? How can native plants help us combat those downsides?
Normally, people water their lawn and they use a lot of water. So if you're like in our area or in South California, like those areas need a lot of water just to have a green grass. And I believe every green grass, lawns are needed to have community sometimes. Like you go to Quinta Mazatlan, you need a lawn to be able to have a little festival there, whatever. But in grand quantities, it doesn't work with, in grand quantities you need so much water, and if you use native plants, it's one sixth of the water that you use. You don't have to water your plants after a while. You just have to water them when they're seedlings and when they're little plants, and then after a while you use less and less in water. And so with the change of climate change, water is a needed resource that we are depleting like really fast. And if you use native plants, you won't need any water since they're adaptable to the area. Also, people believe, they're like, oh, it's easy to manage a lawn. Having a native lawn per se or native plants, you don't have to do anything else. Like, you just plant them, and then if they get a little too bushy, like, cut the sides, keep going. Like, you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, like, what if about all the bugs? Like, they bring bugs in, they bring mosquitoes in. Like, I don't want bugs near me. I don't want I don't want bees near me. Well, that's really the mosquito part. If you have more bugs, it attracts birds, and birds eat what? Bugs.
Oh,
so
my
you get rid of the mosquitoes,
God.
because mosquitoes are normally attracted to bodies of where like water accumulates, and why you won't have any like accumulation of water unless you put a pond, I guess, that doesn't move. But other than that, I mean, it's like the food web. Like, they're gonna be bugs. There's gonna be more birds. Those birds are gonna be attracted. They're gonna eat the bugs, and it's just a cycle. And it just, with more and more animals, it becomes more beautiful.
Well, I gotta say, I really like the idea of attracting birds to my lawn to reduce the amount of mosquitoes I feel when I'm in my backyard. Thank you guys so much. We're gonna take just a little ad break here, but when we get back, we're gonna play just a few more songs from the Eagles, guys. All right, everyone, welcome back to Local Talk Radio. Next topic of discussion. We have some, quite honestly, beautiful state and national parks here in the Valley. So why should people care about bringing the brushlands closer to them when we have these beautiful parks?
So we talked about the benefits of native plants a little earlier, more pertaining to pollinator insects and birds. But, all of these bigger creatures, such as the ocelot, all these little guys are super important to our ecology and our food systems and our food webs that we have established. If it isn't for these habitats, like the Tamaulipan thorn scrub, they don't have anywhere else to go. So, I mean, of course, there's that obvious benefit of keeping as much area as we can restored and conserved for them, since most of the valley has been, developed. It's mostly all just roads and highways. So our very little thorn scrub that we still have left should be protected, and any way we can help to, make it bigger or encourage people, who have private property to introduce these plants and to keep it as its natural state is. And I mean, other than the benefits for the wildlife around us, there's also the benefit of, ecotourism. And there's not much green space in the valley, as we all know. There's not much we can go to that doesn't require us traveling out of state or farther upstate. So, places like the scenic wetlands or Resaca, or anywhere in these state parks like Santa Ana, is such a good place to go if you want green space and if you want that connection with nature that we so desperately need. And I know Olivia wants to add more to that.
Oh yeah, go. Okay. So, green spaces are great because if you're looking for a place to connect with friends, it's like a low-cost way to be outdoors and to see parts of the world that you wouldn't have been able to see if there wasn't a green space. As for protecting our thorn scrub forests, I know that they have been destroyed over the years just by development, like Apollonio said. So really any space where their focus is restoration is awesome, because yes, we do need places to live and things like that, but also these plants are really special, and if they're gone for good, they're gone for good. So it's really awesome to have a way to see them, explore them, learn more about them. And then also these state parks provide a cool way to get in touch with naturalists or environmentalists who can help us save seeds and learn more about the world around us.
Also, fun fact, the Rio Grande Valley has less than 5% of tree canopy based on iTree, which is a USDA, I guess, program, right? Program that the government issues to the public for you to check, like, how much canopy you have in your area. And the RGB has less than 5%.
Less than 5% tree canopy in an area where I think we can all agree the sun kind of beats down on us
Yeah.
hard here. I mean,
Right.
anytime I'm in the shade, I feel much better than just being out there in the sun. I read recently, and it was like a crazy report from like the 70s or 80s or something like that. But in the 90 percentile range, that like our brushlands have like disappeared. Is that true, or am I like crazy recalling incorrect facts? Like almost 90% or something like that.
Well, I mean, that's pretty old. I think it might be a higher percentages at now, which is
Oh, no.
really sad. But I mean, yeah.
Okay, so it's true. We've killed nearly 90% of our brushlands.
Correct.
All right, that's staggering. And so, I would think we can all agree that I'd like the valley to be a little bit cooler of a place. So, let's get those that tree canopy coverage higher. And you said USDA did that?
Well, it's a USDA system or program. You can just go online and put
Government official.
Government official.
Government
yes.
official badge and everything.
But yes, there luckily are a lot of people who are focused specifically on brushland restoration and doing research around how to properly restore them. So luckily there are a lot of people like trying to do good, knowing the numbers.
Okay, so do you guys see like movement growing to restore our brushlands here in the valley compared to the past?
I don't know if the movement is growing based on my experience. I think, well, since I'm now meeting more people, since I'm in my major, I meet, that's normal, meeting more people, getting more connections. But I guess students that are not in my subject of experience or like my major, I don't think they'll be able to know about this ever. I guess they're not really interested in the subject because I didn't know anything. I guess I would save, whatever carton and I would make my recycled paper in high school, but I didn't know anything about thorn scrub, like conservationism, or like the tree canopy was less than 5%. So I guess it's not about like, is it growing? I think it's more what's like, you're just meeting new people and it's the same amount. So I think we should be better on that. We should actually get others who have nothing to do with what we do, which it should be something that they should be interested, but people have their own time, people have their jobs, and it's our job to make them aware about the subject.
Yeah, I know a lot of the ways regular people can help that aren't in science is just through advocacy. I know that all these national parks and all these local nature centers really push for that and really push for you to get involved, even if you're just volunteering, even if you're not helping directly with the research aspect to it, just, doing your best to spread awareness and to, if you know someone who can do something, to just talk to them and just spread those ideas that are super important for our region.
Yes, and I think every person wants to be a good steward of the land, and everyone has a different ability to do so. So I think just coming in with whatever way you can, if you want, is like the best way to go about it. But I feel like the interest or the passion will just grow as people share more and more and continue enjoying or improving experiences at nature parks and things like that. So yeah.
And also, as something that we're starting with the Environmental Awareness Club, we're setting a Rewild UTRGV initiative, which is 2 steps. 1, go all pesticide free on campus, and go all native.
There's pesticides on campus?
Yes.
Oh my god.
There's an official website that checks for all campuses in the United States, and based on our UTRGV, I'm not sure about the numbers since I forgot it, but it's almost more than 95% of UTRGV has pesticides.
The 5% not being sprayed being the organic garden on
Yeah,
campus.
Yes.
organic certified. Yeah.
Thank you,
Being
Dr.
Ellsworth.
Rosales, for doing that.
Yes.
Shout out.
And it's one of the only certified organic.
Yeah, so the
Right.
garden on campus, for people who don't know, is the only organic garden in the state of Texas within a college campus.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been
Congratulations.
fully organic since 2014
And we're
and
having-
counting. Also, this year's our 10th anniversary, so stay tuned on our social media for some fun events.
yeah.
And you said that movement was Rewild RGV here on
Rewild.
campus?
Yeah,
Rewild
it's
Your
called
Colleagues.
Rewild Your Campus. It's a part of a nationwide initiative to convert college campuses to pollinator habitats and fully native plants.
And the grad student that runs that initiative, she actually goes to UTRGV, so she runs that nationwide initiative, and her name's Mackenzie Feldman, and she's super cool.
She's a graduate student.
Awesome. Well, you guys heard that, guys. Let's get more pollinators here on campus and get us to be an organic campus. We're going to play a couple of advertisements for you guys here, and we'll be right back. All right, we're back, and this is going to be our final topic of the day, but what do we say, like, when people say, like, oh, I love my lawn, and I get it, right? We all love our lawns. We all love enjoying time with our family and friends out there, but how do we respond to somebody that says, I love my lawn, and I don't want anything else but carpet grass everywhere?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with what we're used to and what we're socialized to want, which, I mean, I would ask them why they love their lawn, and, like, you know, if it's really, truly the only way you can have your little space within your home, and I don't think it is. I think that there are alternatives, and, you know, I know that in the valley, we can't really do anything throughout the summer because of just how hot it is, and if you've been outside in the summer in a lawn, it's not the nicest feeling. So I guess I offer the suggestion of, instead of having a lawn, why not have, you know, tree canopies, these trees that don't require any maintenance. And, you know, if you do really want a lawn, there are ground covers native to our region that are so much more beneficial to insects and butterflies and all these things, such as, you know, something like frog fruit, which is this, I guess I'll be a little descriptive, is this tiny succulent ground cover with little white flowers. You've heard of clover lawns and moss lawns for regions up north as an alternative to sheetgrass, but we do have our own versions of that we can use and we can, you know, introduce into our landscaping. And I don't know, I guess you can have these things, but making them regionally relevant is the key here, and the only way that, you know, you'll save your own money, you'll save water, you'll save your time, because lawns are a huge maintenance that not a lot of people have. So why wouldn't you rather just do something regionally relevant that can maintain itself and will be lush and green throughout the whole year, since they are adapted for a harsh climate, for the drought periods. They're adapted to everything that goes with living in the valley.
I don't have a lawn. I live in an apartment, so I don't know if I can speak on what it's like to do this, but I've heard that it can be very hard and beautiful to transform your lawn into like a native garden. I think you can even do like small parts. It's definitely an investment for sure, because you're having to learn more and go look around for specific plants. So it's definitely something that you want to start small with. But I think that like having a plant that you know is helping out locally could only benefit like your joy when you go home, or I guess like how you feel about your space. So I guess get as creative with it as you want, but it doesn't have to be perfect. It can fail. Like plants do die sometimes, so I guess just like do your best and try again. But I'd say why not? Why not try to be a little bit more water thoughtful, water friendly? We are kind of like a very arid region, so it doesn't really make sense to have lawns down here. I hope that in the future, if I ever do have a lawn space, that I turn it into something that it could grow food or grow flowers or something.
And just to say, the idea of having a lawn for human like reason is to use it, you know, to be on it, to put your blanket, to lay on the lawn, right? And you can do that on campus. They use it for the quad, for some areas. Like, you need grass to have an aesthetic place to put tables and events. But like most homeowners don't use their front lawn. They use their back lawn to do whatever in their private whatever. But they want the lawn just for the aesthetics, and they're like, oh, like I need to manage it so it looks pretty. But I guess what I'm trying to say is the first step, if you don't want to manage so much, like in my own home, I have difficulty since my family are really, for some reason, I guess, against like being ugly at the, and you know, in front of my house. So I've told them, just let everything grow. I want to see what plants grow, and I'll cut the sides so it won't overgrow to the cement or to the other neighbors. I'll grow, and right now I just have a bunch of I have like 70 dandelion plants in front of my house, and every single morning you just see yellow flowers everywhere. And it's just a step. Dandelion is not, this type of dandelion is not a native to the area, but I mean, you can start somewhere and use a dandelion. You can eat it, by the way. You can eat everything on the plant. You can use it.
Fun fact.
Yeah, you can use it for whatever you need. And then once you have more experience on the matter, you can start planting. And I mean, it looks pretty. Look at it. Like, it looks, every single morning I'm taking a picture of it because I'm like, oh, it's so cute. And I just take like the seeds whenever they're ready. So
What's your experience like with your own house or your own space? I guess how do you go about like your space and approaching it, like knowing some stuff about natives and things like that?
Well, I live with my parents, and like you, they don't want anything else but just grass. Anytime anything except for our grass grows, everything automatically gets labeled as weeds, and then they want to cut it all. They want to like poison it even. Big fan of poison, unfortunately. Not personally, not, but that's my experience living with my parents. But that's not my space. That's not my house. I don't make those calls. But I do wish that I had the opportunity to introduce more native plants to my lawn. Because as it is right now, like, yeah, I don't like cutting the grass, especially in summer. Are you kidding me? And you're going in little squares over and over again. I feel like a hamster on a wheel. You know, I feel crazy. So I would like something that's much less maintenance that would actually help the ground coverage of my lawn. But that actually, you guys mentioned the campus earlier, you know, and enjoying these green spaces like at your own house, and that made me think of the new social area, I guess to call it, that they just unveiled here on campus. Are those native plants that we have here? Because like I can't even like look at all of them and identify. You know what I mean?
most of them are drought tolerant. There are some native plants, but I believe based on me going and checking every single little plant that you know I did like this past month, most of them are drought tolerant and what else?
Yeah, so most of them aren't to our region. Some are from, you know, Central Mexico or Central America. Some are from the other southern states of the U.S. But there are some like the Indian blanket, which is a wildflower, and Texas sage, which is very commonly used, anacahuita, all these very ornamental plants. And I guess for the university, it's a great start. I was very surprised when they unveiled it. But that can serve as a guide to introducing more native plants and things that will require even less maintenance, because they'll just adapt and come back up regardless of what happens. I know at the garden, at the farm, we had a lot of crops die due to the freeze recently, but all our native plants just bounce right back up. They're, you know, like nothing ever happened because they are adapted and they can withstand these harsh conditions.
And it's a start for campus. Like, I'm glad they did that. But let's go even better and go on native. Like, why not? They already have... I love that they did, like, the rainwater system and the open area where people can actually walk through it and, you know, see everything, how cute it is, how wonderful it is. But let's go even better.
I think it's adorable, so I'm glad that it's there.
Yes.
I'm so glad you guys like it, because honestly, when they finally unveiled it, like, I love it. I love the new space. I love that it's, like, I love all the seating that they have. I love the new barbecue pits. I love the new plants. I'm a huge fan. So hearing that you guys that know way more than me are also fans, very reassuring for me. So a lot of students actually listen to this radio broadcast. So I just want to ask, what kind of classes have made you guys most excited about native plants, and what can a student on campus do to get involved with you guys?
So I earlier today I met with Dr. Christofferson. He does research on native tree restoration. So I guess little background info. He takes all these native trees and sees which ones survive, because, you know, we've been to all these tree plantings, and so it's so fun. You go and plant your trees, but the probability of them dying and being outcompeted by invasive species that are native to the region is very likely. So, if you're in the SEAMS department, in environmental science or in biology, you can get involved with many of the professors because there are projects. I know Dr. Solti, Christofferson, Dr. Rosselli's, all these staff members have really sparked my interest and my thrive for this knowledge. But to be honest, it has been other students. So the EAC, the Environmental Awareness Club, and the Garden Club have been like the primary source of like this knowledge to me, and I have learned more through my peers than I have through classes. So if you want to get involved, just join all these student orgs. We have the garden on campus, and the EAC are probably one of the people doing the most, which is us, to advocate for these plants. And if you're interested in it, if you're hearing and if you like native plants and like gardening, just reach out to us. We're always around campus. We're on social media.
What time can people volunteer with you guys? Because I know you guys have volunteer hours for
Right.
the
So
garden.
the garden volunteer hours fluctuate depending on our availability every semester. But for now, it's Mondays and Fridays from 4 to 6 p.m. And
And the hub?
yeah, the hub, which is the partner farm with the university. We work at the garden and at the farm. So the volunteer hours are a little different, which is Monday through Thursday morning from 8 to 11 a.m.
And it's called Hub of Prosperity, which is a community farm for the neighborhood and for students to go.
Yeah,
and anyone can go.
It focuses on sustainable agriculture, so we do implement these practices we've been talking about earlier, which is interplanting and leaving the, native tree canopy along the border to act as a windbreak and to help with soil retention. So if you're interested in seeing how agriculture at least can develop within the context of keeping the original thorn scrub and the original ecosystem, you could volunteer with us and learn more about that and see how these practices are in action here in the valley, because they are different than other regions.
Yes, we also have a farmers market on Saturdays from 10 to 12. So if you live in the Edinburgh area and you want some like fresh veggies or eggs, feel free to come by and get some of those. There's a walking trail around our farm too, so you can also just go for a walk whenever during sunlight hours. And we host workshops once a month. So feel free to check out our social media at the Hub of Prosperity Farm, Hub of Prosperity, and check out our workshops. They're free. You just register and then come. And yeah.
Check out our website also. It's RGV Agroecology, just as it is on Google, and you can learn more about our program and how to get involved and how to eventually, even if you want a career with us, how to, go about that and what you can do to help us out, because any help is very much appreciated.
Yes, and we don't run the farm. It's run by Stephanie Casper. She was a former grad student at UTRGV, and she really just took off with sustainable agriculture here. So thanks to her expertise, she's been teaching a lot of us with interest in multiple ways. But yeah.
It's on Monmac and 107, the farm.
Yeah,
Right
and
there.
if you want something even more closer, tomorrow we're having the EAC, the Environmental Awareness Club's Farmers Market, which will also be a joint partnership with the garden, because we're holding a flower pressing workshop led by Olivia here. So, come forth. It's at noon near the Student Union.
It's from 10 to 3 p.m. Outside the student union.
Yeah, that's for the farmers market. And if you want to come to the workshop, we're gonna go around the new quad area actually and look through the plants, and they're gonna be pressed.
Yes.
So
we'll learn about some pressings and why herbariums are important. Just preserving plant samples can really help us figure out what plants were here in past decades that maybe we don't see as much anymore. And then if we need samples to, I guess, study more about the plants, it's always cool to have like a dried version. Yeah.
And you could reach the farmers market at UTRGV Farmers Market on Instagram, or the EAC, which is EAC_RGV.
Awesome. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I just want to thank you guys for being on. Apollonio, Olivia, and Sophia, thank you guys so much for coming and sharing y'all's vast knowledge about our local RGV plants.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
This has been Local Talk. I have been your host, Adrian Alfaro. I will see you guys next week with some artists from the Visual Arts Building that focus on Indigenous people.